Nate, happy holidays from Houston. It's the home stretch of the regular season, and the Chargers' playoff push continues today against the Texans. The AFC playoff picture remains crowded. Los Angeles currently the number 6 seed, but the Bills and Ravens are also 8 and 6, and there's a number of teams right behind them. And hi, everyone. Along with the Hall of Famer James Lofton, I'm Andrew Catalan. Sherry Burris joins us from the sidelines. While the country and the NFL continue to deal with rising COVID cases, the Chargers and Texans both hit hard this week. And James, a number of big names will miss today's game.
No doubt about that. I talked to John Spanos of the Chargers before the game and how difficult it is just to field enough players to have an active roster for a game.
So Justin Herbert will be without a number of key offensive weapons, but it will take a lot to slow this guy down. Earlier this week, named the starting quarterback for the AFC in the Pro Bowl. He's having a monster sophomore season.
And I was trying to think of what he does well, and I came up with the term everything. He does everything well. He throws outside, he throws inside, and he has that mobility that is rare for somebody who's 6'6", 240 pounds. You look at what he's done. Already, his name is being echoed in Canton with some of the things he's done that no one else has ever done before in the National Football League.
Pretty good run in the draft for GM Tom Telesco. Herbert last year, and now left tackle Rashawn Slater named to the Pro Bowl this season.
And when you're looking at comparisons, Orlando Pace, St. Louis Rams Hall of Famer, a guy who run blocks and pass protects equally well.
For Houston, Davis Mills picked up his first NFL win a week ago in Jacksonville. The Texans are trying to figure out if he's the guy moving forward right now. What do you think?
I think he has a leg up on the competition out there. You know, yeah, you can pick up a veteran. Maybe you can find somebody in the draft. But for a third-round pick, he's played extremely well. He got that 0-4 from erased from the front of his name, won his first game, as you mentioned, last week. But I think what he's done well for David Culley is he has given them a consistent player at that position.
Did you format this opening segment? We go from one Stanford player to another. Justin Reed back from a concussion and a big boost for that defense.
Yeah, he is the leader in the back half of that secondary, and he will be tested today by Justin Herbert from the Oregon Ducks.
All right, James, time for your keys to today's game.
Well, you want to bolt up, and that means a lot of electricity on offense. In 3 out of the last 4 games, they scored over 35 points. Slow the run. They've done that better the last 4 weeks of the season. For the Texans, win some turnovers. Get those extra series and keep it under wraps. That refers to that deep secondary. Don't let Justin Herbert get under you.
Critical game for the Chargers and their playoff hopes. LA and Houston ready to close out Christmas weekend. Kickoff is next on CBS. Back at NRG Stadium, the Texans won the toss. They elected to defer, and before we get it going, we send it down to Sherry Burris.
Andrew, Chargers Pro Bowl safety Derwin James is available today in case of emergency. They watched him in warm-ups, but it was even pregame. Talking to head coach Brandon Staley, he told me it's unlikely he'll play. His injured hamstring, I'm told, is good, but given the circumstance of 2 regular season games and hopefully a run in the playoffs, James won't be seeing a lot, if any, action against the Texans here today. Andrew?
All right, Sherry, and just moments ago, the Chargers added Michael Davis to the injury report. He is now questionable because of an illness. So as we already pointed out, both sides dealing with a number of COVID issues. Yesterday, the Texans activated 18 players to their active roster. One of the new guys for the Chargers is back deep to receive the kickoff. That's Maurice French, playing in his 3rd game of the year. And so out comes Justin Herbert, who needs just 2 more passing touchdowns this season to tie the franchise record set by Phillip Rivers. Well, December 14th, the Texans took part in a book distribution at James Deonda Elementary School, partnered with Books Between Kids, a nonprofit that distributes books to economically disadvantaged children. Jonathan Owens and Roy Lopez helped each student select 6 books to take home. Books Between Kids was recently awarded a $25,000 Inspire Change grant from the Texans. Justin Jackson in his 4th year out of Northwestern. a 7th-round pick back in 2018. And 2018 is the last time he has scored a touchdown. It's been 3 years since he's found the end zone. But coming off a nice performance against the Chiefs, and he has already got a 25-yard reception today.
Just a little bit of traffic, just enough.
His 28th catch on 3rd down, 3rd most in the NFL, and he adds to his leading total. No one has more catches than Keenan Allen since 2017.
Outside, there are a lot more guys coming from the inside, but a big physical target, somebody who I believe that the Texans think can really extend the field with his size and his speed.
A healthy scratch the first 7 games of this season. Let's check in with Nate.
All right, pay attention to the slot. Look at Tyler Boyd with the out and up. Oh, that was nasty. Joe Burrow to Tyler Boyd looking like a young James Lofton. He takes that to the house, and the Bengals, they have the lead 17-7. Back to you guys, Andrew Catalon, James Lofton, and Sherry Burris.
(12-10), Chargers in front, 5:11 to go in the opening half. Football's iconic show Inside the NFL, streaming Tuesdays at 9:30 on Paramount Plus. And 4 years ago, they had actor and comedian Bill Burr on the show, and he looks an awful lot like Texans punter Cameron Johnston. I mean, this is scary.
The two have never been in the same place at the same time.
Nate Burleson.
Cincinnati Bengals are not playing around. Joe Burrow to Joe Mixon. Joe Mixon, 1 rush TD, and now 1 receiving TD. That's how you mix it up. 24-7, Cincinnati with the lead.
And there is Simone Biles, 4-time Olympic gold medalist. We mentioned she's dating Jonathan Owens, who had his first career NFL interception. And yeah, she's already tweeted it out. She tweeted out the highlight of the play. Very proud of her boyfriend, Jonathan Owens. Halftime here in Houston. Here's a look at the first half numbers. 8 penalties for the Texans, totaling 55 yards, yet they lead by 5 at the break. As we welcome you back to the broadcast booth with the Hall of Famer James Lofton, I'm Andrew Catalon. We'll hear from Sherry Burris coming up. Well, the Texans offense did a great job of managing the clock in the first half. Both quarterbacks playing well. What have you seen from the QBs?
Well, I think for the Chargers, if you had told them you're going to score the first 3 times you have the football, they'll say, sweet, we'll take that. But then you tell them you're going to be down by 5 points at halftime, they'd go, well, how is that going to happen? Well, it's going to happen because you're going to turn the ball over, and then you're going to give up a 90-plus yard scoring drive to kind of close out the first half to Davis Mills and the Houston Texans. So Texans get the ball back. You know, I always think that you want the ball when the game starts. Texans won the coin toss, they deferred, and it has worked out perfectly, like they always say that the analytics do. I just don't know that analytic guy. Where is he? Where is he? Somewhere around here.
Sherry?
Well, head coach David Culley said he likes Davis Mills showing off that big arm, and the reason for that is the offensive line is really holding up. But he did mention those penalties, as did Brandon Staley. But he did say he likes the way Justin Herbert's playing. But I want to let you guys know Herbert might be having some equipment issues. Most of the second quarter, I saw them working on a helmet. They swapped one out for him, replaced a piece in there, and working on it during the half.
And Rex Burkhead having a day, 12 carries, 78 yards.
And his commitment to the downhill run, he's talking about, well, what does downhill mean? What it means your shoulders are almost always square to the line of scrimmage. You're trying to pick a hole, you're going to the sideline, and that one cut run that you hear a lot of people talk about with the zone runs, it's downhill running by Rex Burkhead. That means you're going to be running into somebody, and they're trying to stop it.
It's a who's who at NRG Stadium today. Andre Johnson, all-time great wide receiver, in the owner's box today.
Receiver should have run a little deep. He said, I can wait for Keenan Allen on some of those plays and make sure that he's running the right route, making the decisions I think he's going to make.
50 Cent is here as well. It's hard. Back at NRG Stadium, and it's a 2-point lead for the Texans. On New Year's Eve, CBS gets into the spirit of the bowl season with a matchup between the Pac-12 and ACC when Washington State takes on Miami. It's the Sun Bowl coming up Friday at noon Eastern here on CBS. How about the 1977 Sun Bowl? We had to pay a lot of money to get this transferred from black and white to color. James Lofton, a couple of touchdowns. Now, what is this dance all about?
You got to remember that when you're young, you do things that you're going to regret much later in life.
Yeah, there's people like me to point them out to you. You had a big Sun Bowl back in '77. You can catch this year's edition coming up on Friday. NFL Today update. Let's send it back to Nate Burleson.
All right, after a Rams turnover, the Vikings make them pay. Alexander Madison takes it in, fights his way in for a 2-yard touchdown. The Vikings cut the lead. The Rams are still ahead. He doesn't do the Sun Bowl celebration of James Lofton, but he still gets in. The Rams up 13-10.
8:54 to go in a critical game for the Chargers' playoff hopes. You see, they began the day as the number 6 seed, tied with the same record as Buffalo and Baltimore. Now the Ravens are getting beat up by the Bengals, but the Bills currently have a 6-point lead on the Patriots. Forget about all that. If you're the Chargers, you've got to get this done against a 3-11 Texans team, and they've got their work cut out for them now.
All right, pay attention to the bottom of your screen. Mark Andrews at tight end fights through the PI off his back foot. Josh Johnson hits him. He catches it and gets into the end zone. Mark Andrews, 8 for 125 in a TD. The Ravens down 34-21.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Verizon, the official 5G network of the NFL. Geico. You could save even more by bundling home and car insurance. And by KFC. Order on KFC.com or through the app.
Linval Joseph on the stop. Coming up next, game 2 of our NFL on CBS doubleheader. The Steelers trying to stay in the playoff hunt as they take on the Chiefs, or some of you will see the Broncos battle the Raiders. That's coming up next here on CBS. Bills 21 out of 27, 254 yards and 2 touchdown passes. And here's how he ranks among rookies in the NFL this year. Most 300-yard games, with 3 of them for Davis Mills. Today, 254. And there's an injured Texan down on the field at the 33-yard line.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Liberty Mutual Insurance. Only pay for what you need. And by T-Mobile, the leader in 5G.
Chargers played in the first 2 AFL championships against the Houston Oilers. There's a old school jersey, but now it's the Houston Texans. Let's update the playoff picture, and we'll give LA the loss. And wow, the AFC just so top heavy right now, and with this loss for the time being, Chargers are moved out of the top 7.
And the implications of this game, when we talked about when the game started, that the Chargers control their own destiny. Well, they no longer control their own destiny with games against Denver and Las Vegas coming up. And this gap between now and them and the Kansas City Chiefs has gotten even wider. Was that Rex Burkhead who recovered that onside kick?
How about that? He's done it all today. Updating the playoff picture. Again, Buffalo is up by 5, 3.5 minutes to go on New England. And Baltimore down big against Cincinnati. And now you're bringing the 7-7 teams in the mix as well. Burkhead is just having a good time out there. Texas native, 31 years old, rushes for a career high 149 yards and 2 touchdowns, and he recovers the onside kick. And what a stunner here in Texas. Chargers favored big to come away with a win in a game they had to have, and it's the Houston Texans who win back-to-back games for the first time this season. Chargers' final 2 games next week at home against Denver, and then week 18 on the road against Las Vegas. Justin Herbert finishes with 336 yards passing, 1 touchdown and 2 picks, but Davis Mills and Rex Burkhead get it done for the Texans. So for James Lofton, Sherry Burris, our entire crew, I'm Andrew Catalan saying so long. Let's go to the studio in New York for the NFL Today update.
All right, guys, we're back, and the Chargers, they lose a tough one to the Texans.